You don't need this video when everything is fine. You need it right after something happens with your aging parents. And by then, you're already exhausted, emotional, and suddenly responsible for making some really big decisions about things you've never actually taken the time to think all the way through, which is totally understandable. No one wants to think about this stuff. But wake up. Let's not wait for that moment. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk together through the few things that actually determine what happens next when your parents start aging. Because once you understand those pieces, this situation becomes a lot less overwhelming. But I want you to know, if you're already there, if something has happened and you're trying to figure it all out right now, this video will help you slow down the spiral and get your footing so you can do what's best for you, your family, and your life. If you're new here, hi, I'm Chris Rainwaters, your favorite real estate witch and a licensed realtor here in Southern California. And a big part of my job isn't helping people buy or sell homes. It's helping families navigate the major transitions around those homes. And aging parents is one of the biggest. And if you found me through my spiritual content and you're wondering what a real estate witch has to do with aging parents, the short answer is everything. Because being a witch, the way that I practice it, means paying attention. And in this case, patterns to the things people miss when they're deep in the middle of something hard. And aging parents, that is one of those moments where families miss a lot. It's not because they don't care, it's because nobody told them what to look for or what to do. So that's what I'm gonna do here today. It's like perimenopause. When I discovered all the weird stuff that I was experiencing was that, it became way easier to handle. So if you're starting to realize that your parents are getting older or something has already happened and you're suddenly in the middle of all of this, the first step is to breathe and then get crystal clear on what you're actually dealing with. There are a few pieces that shape almost every decision families end up making in this stage of life. What the family situation looks like, how independent your parents really are right now, what the realistic living options are, how finances and the house factor into all of this, and a few practical things that most people forget until they're already in the middle of a crisis situation. And in this video, I want to help you see the whole picture so you know where to start. Then in the rest of this series, we'll walk through each of these pieces one at a time so that you don't have to figure everything out at once. So first and foremost, we really need to examine our family situation because every family is different and that changes what this is gonna look like for you. So are both of your parents still living and are they still together? Or have they divorced or remarried over the years? Or is one parent already gone, whether that be to death or memory care or something like that, leaving the other living alone? Do you have siblings or other family members involved in these decisions? Or are you the one who's probably going to be carrying most of this responsibility? Actually, hang on a sec. You know who you are. I just want to say, I see you. And there are others watching this right now who are exactly where you are. Drop a comment. It doesn't have to be long. Just let the others know that you're here too. Because the more people who show up in the comments, the more the algorithm pushes this video out. And maybe it lands in front of your sibling or someone else's sibling. Someone who needs to understand what this actually looks like before they just let it all fall on your lap. You showing up here matters for you and for the next person who needs to find this. Because come on, when something serious happens with our aging parents, it really is an entire family situation, no matter how involved people want to be. And every family structure creates a different set of realities. Like if both parents are still living and supporting each other, the timeline and decisions are probably gonna look very different than if one parent is already alone. If there are multiple siblings involved, decisions might be shared or they might become more complicated depending on communication and expectations. And if you're an only child or the one who lives closest, you might already know that a lot of this is gonna land on you. Now, none of these situations are inherently right or wrong, or even necessarily better or worse, depending on your perspective. What's important here is really understanding what your family structure actually looks like so that you can start making decisions from reality instead of assumption. You don't wanna just assume that your big brother with an extra room in his bigger one-story house is just gonna take mom whenever the time comes without actually discussing that with him first, right, Scott? I mean, you're watching this, right? Look, I don't want to talk about it either, okay? Can this video count as that? Or call me and force me to talk about it. My big brother is watching my YouTube videos, right? He is supporting his baby sister, right? Oh my God, am I the black sheep? Once you've got your family situation on lock, the next thing to look at is something a lot of people find easy to avoid, and that's how independent your parents really are right now. And I don't mean how independent they say they are. I mean how independent they actually are in their day-to-day life. I'll start with the obvious things. How is their physical health? Are they moving around comfortably? Have there been any falls? Are stairs becoming difficult? Are they still driving safely? Then there's the quieter side of independence. Are the bills getting paid on time? Are medications being taken correctly? Are they getting taken advantage financially? Are appointments being remembered? Or are these things starting to slip through the cracks? And then there's something people overlook all the time: the house itself. Sometimes the issue isn't the parent. Sometimes the issue is that the house that they've lived in for 30 or 40 years simply wasn't designed for aging bodies. So when you're thinking about independence, you really have to look at both pieces, the person and the environment they're living in. All right, so once you start looking at independence and safety, most families then start asking, well, what are the realistic living options moving forward? Sometimes the answer is staying right where they are with added support. Sometimes it means downsizing or moving closer to family. Sometimes it means multi-generational living, like adding an ADU or converting space like a garage at home. And sometimes it means looking at assisted living or memory care. There isn't inherently one right answer, but understanding options early gives families something really important: choice. And I'll walk through what those options actually look like and how families decide between them in another video in this series. If you want to learn more about 55+ community options, I have a video series linked below that can help you start that conversation with your parents or yourself if you're watching these videos to have that talk with your kids. So once families start looking at those options, another question usually comes up pretty quickly, and that's, how is this all going to be paid for? Sometimes parents already have a plan in place. Sometimes families are figuring that out together. And very often, the house becomes part of that conversation. Whether that means downsizing, using equity, or deciding whether keeping the home long-term even makes sense. And if downsizing is already floating around in the back of your head or theirs, and 55+ communities are on the table, even maybe just as a maybe someday, I do have a full playlist, again, linked in the pinned comments. Also, watch it first, then send it to them, because options are a lot easier to talk about when nobody's in crisis yet, especially here in California, where property taxes and inheritance rules can change what happens to a family home in ways that you might not expect. I also have a separate video explaining Prop 19 if that's part of your situation, and I'll have that linked in the comment as well. I know I've made a lot of videos. All right, there's also one huge step families can take that makes everything easier later: making sure the right paperwork is already in place. This looks like power of attorney, healthcare directives, HIPAA authorization, and a simple emergency information binder with medications, doctors, passwords, and contacts. These are small steps that make a very big difference if something unexpected happens. Don't worry, I'll walk you through exactly what should be included in that in another video in this series. And then there's the part nobody really talks about until they're standing in the middle of it: all the stuff, not just the furniture or paperwork or boxes in the garage, but decades of a person's life living inside a house. There's actually a whole trend online right now people jokingly call, well, I don't know if it's even jokingly, call a millennial inheritance, where instead of inheriting money, people are inheriting entire collections of things their parents spent years carefully saving, like china sets, Beanie Babies, and Precious Moments figurines, closets and display cases full of memories that meant something very specific to someone else. And admittedly, it's hilarious when you see some of this stuff online. fine. But when it's your family, it's usually not funny at all. It's emotional and it's complicated and it takes time. So I'm gonna walk you through what that process actually looks like and what options families actually have in another video in this series too. Look, your parents may say that they don't want to be a burden, but the bottom line is that aging is heavy and complicated. So your goal isn't to solve everything today, all right? It's just to start the conversations early enough that decisions and preparations can be made calmly instead of under pressure. And if you're navigating this here in Southern California and trying to figure out what role the house plays in all of it, whether that's keeping it, selling it, downsizing, or moving closer to family, that's something I help families think through every day. You can schedule a consult with me or download any one of my free guides through the links below. Before you go, out of the 5 pieces we covered today, which one feels the most overwhelming right now? The family dynamics, the independence question, or the living options, the money, or the paperwork, or the stuff? Just drop it in the comments because your answer probably tells you exactly where this series needs to take you first. The next video in this series is linked right here. I'll see you in the next one, but hopefully sooner.